Good morning. I'm Nancy Roberts. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Providence St. Vincent Medical Center and also a board member with WEA. And it's my pleasure to welcome all of you and thank you for coming to our breakfast forum today with Governor Brown. We're pleased to have the governor with us this morning. This is the first time that she's been sharing our stage with us for these breakfast forums, and we're excited to hear what she has to say about happenings at the state and the Capitol. I'm going to turn it over now to Pam Treese.
Good morning, and thank you, Nancy. I appreciate the introduction. As you heard, I'm Pam Treese. I'm the Executive Director of Westside Economic Alliance. We are so grateful to Providence as our presenting sponsor this morning. Providence has been a long-time supporter of WEA. We hold our monthly board meetings at the Providence Boardroom, and they serve us, as you can imagine, an extremely healthy breakfast. So, much to the chagrin of some of our board members. They've sponsored many forums and always sponsor our annual golf tournament. You'll meet Janice Berger in a little bit, and if you play in our golf tournament, be careful. She can hit it a long way and she can hit it straight. So, like I said, you will hear more from them in a few minutes. Of course, we are looking forward to hearing from our Governor, Kate Brown. You'll hear more about Governor Brown in her introduction, but I want to thank you, Governor Brown, for being here. It has not gone unnoticed that you have been in Washington County numerous times. And sometimes a little secretively, sometimes not, you know, it's not always broadcast, but the point is that Governor Brown comes to our county. Governor Brown knows what's going on in our county, and she's been here more times since her start than her predecessor ever did. So we thank you for that. Now I'd like to introduce you to Janice Berger. Janice provides operational and strategic leadership to Providence St. Vincent Medical Center, Seaside and Newburgh hospitals, and their respective service areas.
It is my privilege to be here today representing the Sisters of Providence and Providence Health and Services. Providence has a privilege to be a part of the Northwest for 160 years. And a lot has changed in our community since the sisters traveled here to our pioneer state from Montreal. At Providence, we talk a lot about creating healthier communities with our community partners. We share that commitment with our speaker, Governor Kate Brown, who has given more than 25 years of service to the people of Oregon. From 2008 to 2015, Governor Brown served as Oregon's Secretary of State, where she was a leader in increasing government transparency and accountability. She oversaw an audits division that identified millions of savings. She streamlined business registration and licensing and successfully implemented online voter registration system, which made it easier for Oregonians to register to vote and save taxpayers millions of dollars, or millions of dollars, millions dollars, let's just say dollars, okay? It also got my 20-something boys to be able to vote, which they wouldn't have otherwise. So we are bringing the youth to the voting process. Prior to serving as Secretary of State, Governor Brown served for 17 years in the state legislature, 5 years in the Oregon House of Representatives, and 12 years in the Oregon State Senate. In 2004, Brown made history when she became the first woman in Oregon to serve as Senate Majority Leader. During her time in the legislature, Governor Brown led efforts on government accountability and reform. She successfully helped pass family and medical leave, making Oregon one of the first states in the nation to allow parents to stay home with their sick children without fear of losing their jobs. She also put Oregon on the map as the first state to require insurance companies to cover annual breast exams. As part of the preventative health care screenings. Before running for public office, the governor practiced law and taught at Portland State. She grew up in Minnesota and earned her undergraduate degree from the University of Colorado Boulder and her law degree and certificate of environmental law from Lewis and Clark's Northwestern School of Law. Please join me in welcoming Governor Kate Brown. Excuse me.
Thank you very much, Janice, for that kind introduction. And I'm very pleased to be here with you this morning. I think the last time I was with you, I was serving in my former role as Oregon Secretary of State, and delighted to be here with you in my new job. I have, as a matter of fact, been in Oregon politics long enough that I remember when Tom Bryan was a legislator. And not only was he a legislator, he was a Democratic legislator. So I've been around for a while. I'm also very happy to be the bearer of really great news this morning. As you all know in this room, Oregon's economy is strong and it's growing. And in fact, according to Bloomberg News, it's one of the healthiest economies in the entire United States. Yay! So on the heels of this historic momentum, it's one of my priorities to create an Oregon that thrives in every single corner of the state, that our businesses thrive and that our families thrive throughout the entire state. Continuing economic growth by ensuring every community benefits from our progress and that all of our communities are more resilient to changing economic conditions has to be our top priority. And while, as everyone in this room knows, state government doesn't directly create jobs, we can lay the groundwork to make sure that our economy continues to thrive. We can do this by investing in creating a skilled and diverse workforce, by supporting our small businesses, our entrepreneurs and innovators, and by investing in our infrastructure. I saw these needs firsthand right here in your backyard. I had the opportunity to tour a small company by the name of Puralytics. Some of you may be familiar with their work. They have developed an innovative approach to delivering clean water to communities around the entire globe. And they're applying it in some surprising new ways. Their most popular creations are plastic bags, literally plastic bags, that use the power of the sun to purify a few liters of water, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours. Puralytics has also scaled their technology. They are building compact machines that can process thousands of gallons of water at a time using LEDs. I think the applications of this technology are absolutely endless. From dirty water, cleaning dirty water in villages in Africa, to lead-tainted water in the city of Flint, Michigan. They're working really hard to make water safe to drink throughout the entire globe. Your state has already helped Puralytics grow with an investment from the Oregon Innovation Council and other small business programs, but we can certainly do more to grow our businesses throughout the state. We ran a survey through Business Oregon to over 500 businesses, and I've talked to a number of you myself. The one common thing that I hear is that being able to hire skilled and talented employees is your biggest hurdle to growth. So I'm working in my role as governor to deliver the best possible homegrown workforce by ensuring that every student graduates from high school with a plan for their future by investing in career-focused education models. We know that students who participate in career and technical education and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math programs, develop critical thinking skills. They do better in math and reading, and they are more likely to stay engaged in school. They tend to graduate from high school in higher numbers and move on with a plan once they receive a diploma. In 2015, with the help of your Oregon legislature, we expanded career technical education and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math programs. We actually doubled our funding so that more students have the opportunity to have hands-on, real-world work experiences before graduating from high school or college. I'm working now to identify stable funding to get these programs in every single school across the state of Oregon. And just to give you a comparative, last session we doubled funding for CTE and STEM programs. We doubled it to roughly $35 million. To give you a comparative, the state of Washington last year spent $400 million on CTE and STEM programming. So we have a ways to go, but I'm confident with you all, with your help, we can move in that direction. I'm also working to make college education more affordable and accessible for all of our students. Last year, I signed the Oregon Promise program into law. It gives students the chance to attend community college for as little as $50 a term. We're only the second state in the entire country to do this, and it's been incredibly successful already. Over 1,000 students applied for the Oregon Promise program on the first day alone. We hope that soon applying for the program becomes a normal part of being a high school senior in the state of Oregon. Your help is really important as well, and I encourage each and all of you to volunteer at our local schools, take on high school and college interns, and partner with the state to ensure students' successful transition into the workforce. I know that a lot of you in the room are doing it already. We need all of you to step up to the plate. As we work to provide talented employees for businesses to grow with, we also must support our small businesses, entrepreneurs, and innovators. This is absolutely critical. Oregon's local businesses are an economic linchpin throughout the entire state. 90% of Oregon's businesses are considered small, and we know that 70% of new jobs are created when existing in-state businesses expand. That's why I convened the Small Business Advisory Cabinet. It's a great group of small business owners, investors, and state officials, and we're looking at how Oregon can nurture our thriving economy. I'm taking this initiative very seriously, and I'm working with them very closely. I've had the opportunity to attend each meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to do that moving forward. Some of you may know Celeste Edmond. She's the CEO of Lunar Logic in Eugene. She's a member of my cabinet. As a woman, she has a very unique perspective on what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in the tech world. Also on the cabinet is a young man by the name of Stephen Green. Many of you may know Stephen. He's of Elevate Capital. He's helping us to figure out how we fund innovators. I have to tell you, it's a pretty raucous and innovative group, and I'm just really delighted to be a part of it. Together, our focus is making sure small businesses have access to capital. We're looking at the state's role in mentorship and technical assistance of entrepreneurs and innovators, and we're tackling the regulatory challenges that are specific to small businesses. We want to make sure that all of our businesses are focused on creating black ink instead of wasting their time navigating red tape. The cabinet is required and supposed to deliver recommendations to me by this October, so that will give me ample opportunity to build their ideas into my budget and my legislative priorities for the 2017-2019 legislative session. I'm also working to support small businesses in underserved and rural communities. That's why I'm committed to supporting transformative technologies like CLTs. You guys know what CLTs are? Cross-laminated timber. I like to describe it as plywood on steroids. But it's a new way to build tall structures using an older resource, wood. And the best part about it is we can put people back to work in our timber-dependent rural communities and build buildings that are sustainable and green. Plus, they happen to be stunningly beautiful. Oregon is strongest when each and every one of us has the opportunity to thrive, including our emerging entrepreneurs across the entire state. If we unlock the potential of business owners in every single corner of the state, They can help contribute to Oregon's economic success story. But our success story won't have a happy ending unless our businesses have a functioning transportation system to get goods to market and people to work. That means we must tackle congestion, modernization, and of course, seismic retrofitting. The scale, and you all know this better than just about anybody across the state, the scale of the issue is unavoidable, especially for many of you who travel Highway 26 and Highway 217 every single day. The traffic congestion is absolutely mind-numbing. Currently, each commuter in the Portland metropolitan area will waste 52 hours each year of their lives fighting traffic. Just to put that in perspective, as a lawyer, that's a heck of a lot of billable hours. It's also more than personal inconveniences. Businesses need to be able to count on our roads as an asset to their bottom line, not as a barrier. I had the opportunity to visit Genentech in Hillsborough last year. They've made an incredible investment in their facility and are hiring highly skilled and highly paid workers. But they need to be able to get their products to customers in a timely and reliable and safe manner. They can't do that if their trucks are sitting in the Vista Ridge Tunnel. What's more, our roads will not stand up to a major earthquake either. 718 bridges on our state highway system need to be replaced, retrofitted, rehabilitated for seismic resilience. Together with the Oregon Transportation Commission and a variety of stakeholders, I will develop and present a transportation package to the 2017 legislative session. Yeah. But you all are not off the hook. I'm going to need your help in order to make this happen. Your job is to hold me accountable and to hold my legislative colleagues accountable as well. Insist that your elected leaders take action in 2017 to address this mind-numbing congestion that degrades our quality of life and our business's ability to make a profit. So, that's how I plan to continue this unprecedented economic growth in Oregon, to keep making sure that we are investing in a skilled and diverse workforce that'll meet our business community needs of the future, supporting our small businesses, our entrepreneurs and innovators that create jobs throughout the state, and investing in transportation infrastructure so we can all get safely to our homes, to our work, and the economy can continue to thrive. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to working with you and look forward to working with Pam Treese and answering her questions this morning. Thank you.
Yes, it was. Are we mic'd up here?
Can you guys hear me?
And
Okay.
me?
You hear Pam?
Hello? Got it. Got it.
I just have to share, Pam and I met a number of years ago at a retreat for how do we tackle the urban-rural divide, and I think we were actually roommates at the time. So I've known her for a long time as well.
We were, and I'm not sure that we solved any problems at that time. We're still talking about it.
We're still trying.
But the idea is we're on our way. Before we get started, I also want to tell you that yesterday was Governor Brown's birthday. So happy birthday to you. I have no confidence in this room's ability to sing happy birthday. So just know that we wish you the very best.
I have confidence in their other capacities, so no worries.
So again, Governor Brown, thank you for being here. And as I mentioned in my opening comments, we in Washington County greatly appreciate your visits and your awareness of the issues that we face. You outlined a number of them in your speech. You've been in office, this is the softball question here, okay? You've been in office for almost a year and a half.
What have been the most challenging issues and the most rewarding?
Well, certainly the most challenging for Oregon in my last 16 months as governor, Oregon has faced some very tremendous challenges, including last summer was the one of the worst drought seasons in Oregon history. That was followed by, of course, the worst fire season in Oregon history, followed by, unfortunately, that tragic shooting at Umpqua Community College where we lost 9 students and a professor. Earlier this year, we had the occupation of the Malheur Wildlife Refuge. And so these were certainly challenges. What I've learned from that is Oregonians are very tough and resilient and look forward to continuing to moving the state forward. In terms of the incredible opportunities and the incredible exciting things that have happened, I was so pleased to work with the Oregon legislature to make historic investments in creating a seamless system of education from cradle to career. We invested significantly in early childhood education. I know that's been a passion and a dream for many of you in this room. We funded all-day kindergarten for the first time ever in Oregon's history. I got to come to kindergarten at one of the schools on the first day, and I have a new appreciation for kindergarten teachers at this point. But what I will tell you is that as a result of full-day kindergarten, our children now, our kindergartners are of course learning twice as much in 6 months and half a year as they would normally learn in a full school year. So I'm telling you, your investments are definitely worthwhile. I mentioned the Oregon Promise, and we added 16,000 students to the Oregon Opportunity Grant. I'm very pleased about the work we're doing around career technical education and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. I'd like to add the A for arts to keep Congresswoman Bonamici happy moving forward, and hopefully I'll have the support of you all in the room to do that. But definitely our historic investment in education. So, thank you.
I have a granddaughter who's a kindergartner. I agree with you 100%. And she has benefited from that work, so thank you.
I used to think that middle school teachers should be paid $1 million, but after sitting in kindergarten classes, I'm wondering if our kindergarten teachers shouldn't be paid $1 million as well.
It's a big leap, half day to full day.
Yes, it is.
And an important one. So transportation issues are big, as you mentioned, in Washington County, and the cost of congestion is mounting daily. And as you mentioned, many people in this room drive 26 and 217, and if they don't, I want to know what their route is.
They're not going to tell you.
What are your thoughts on a transportation package for the next session? And really more importantly, what can we do as WEA and as attendees here to help push that through?
Well, and I just have to share, I was at Washington Square last Friday to do a little shopping, I confess. And we headed down to Mahonia, the governor's residence in Salem after that, and it took us 2 hours to get down there. So I am feeling your pain. This is a huge challenge for us. There are a number of folks who are leaders in this room that have tackled this issue in the past. I'm very pleased to have a very collaborative effort happening with the Oregon legislature. Speaker Tina Kotek and Senate President Peter Courtney have developed a joint transportation committee. They are holding community forums around the entire state to talk about what is the need in terms of transportation. Some of you may have participated in a few of those meetings. I would hope that your members would participate in those meetings moving forward. We have a collaborative communication strategy that we'd like your participation as well. I think it's absolutely critical that the business community step up to the plate and make sure that we pass a transportation package in 2017. The other thing I would say is, and I had the opportunity to tour the Orenco site and the affordable housing that was developed in that area. And for me, what's so exciting to see is the accessibility and the affordability of the communities built around a transportation system. Not only did I get to see the incredible, beautiful, affordable housing that was built there right next to the light rail system, but a couple of blocks away, I got to tour Katama Elementary School. That is a fully integrated STEM elementary school. and they're just doing great work there with hands-on learning, integrating technology and arts into the classroom. The 5th grade class I saw, the kids were learning how the human body functions and making literally lungs out of plastic bottles. It gets better. About halfway through the class that I was watching, some of the kids were getting a little restless, so the teacher had the kids get up and sing the lung song. And I'm not going to sing it for you. And then the next piece was the kids, when I asked them about recycling their bottles, they all knew about how to recycle their lungs once they were taking them apart. So that's the kind of communities we want to build. If we plan and prepare, we can do that for Oregon's future.
Thank you. We have a very active transportation committee and a government relations committee, and we are definitely interested in the transportation package, and we'll be there to help. So
great, thank you.
That's important. So, how will investments in career-focused education help engage students and improve graduation rates? You talked about that. What are some of the examples of a strong career-focused education program we have several here in this area, but also across the state? Can you share that with me?
Sure. Well, for me, it was really eye-opening to tour one of the learning hubs, and this happens to be Deschutes County, sorry. And Deschutes County has really collected the data about hands-on integrated learning programs in their communities, and it's really, really clear. If we give students these opportunities, their math scores go up, their reading scores go up, education becomes relevant for them. We're connecting the classroom to their careers, and it truly makes a difference for these students. I served on the board of Centro Cultural up until I became governor, and I was delighted to see the partnership there between Intel and the Latino community that Centro Cultural serves. And delighted to have Intel, for example, hosting at least one robotics team. It may be 2, Jill. Looking for some hints. 4. Wow, that's really great. One of them an all-girls team. And that's the kind of learning that kids need. It's particularly effective, I think, for our underserved communities, our rural communities, our communities of color and girls. And I just think the more that we can partner and provide students with these hands-on learning opportunities, the better off we're going to be as a state.
Great, thank you. We have active participation in our membership now from the school districts across Washington County, and we're very pleased to be able to function as a business to education type of agreement as well. So we're working toward that. So the next question, I'd like to know, in light of the national disaster the last week, gun safety, gun control has to be in the front of your mind right now. So can you share with us what your thoughts are, where you think our state is going, where it should be going, and also a national perspective?
Sure. So there are a couple of pieces for me. One, the Oregon legislature, and I was able to sign into law, passed a couple of bills that really move Oregon in the right direction. We passed a bill giving judges more tools to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers, and we passed a comprehensive background checks legislation, which is unusual for a Western state and something I think we should be proud of. And then most recently in February, we provided additional resources for the Oregon State Police to fully implement our comprehensive background checks. Moving forward, I think it is absolutely imperative that Oregon continue to push on common sense gun legislation that keeps guns out of the hands of dangerous offenders, of people who should not have them. We need to do this working collaboratively with responsible gun owners and community activists. I have to tell you, at the national level, I am somewhat discouraged in terms of our federal government's ability to take actions, not just on this issue, but on a number of issues. But for me, what I love about working at the state level is that the states can be Petri dishes. We can be the innovators and creators of progressive public policy. And if the federal government is not going to take action in the case of gun safety, I think it's appropriate that Oregon continue to move forward and continue to make our state safer. We had 500 deaths in Oregon this year alone, gun deaths. I find that absolutely unacceptable. I will be using my tools as an executive and will be working closely with my colleagues in the legislature to make sure we can keep guns out of the hands of those who should not have them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The format for this morning has been that Governor Brown had the opportunity, and we thank you for your presentation. We've asked a few questions here, and we're going to be closing with Tom Bryan. Many of you know Tom. Tom is the former chair of Washington County, and I think what we'll do here, Kate, is you're welcome to take your seat again, and I'll sit down, and we'll be very brave and turn it over to Tom. How's
okay,
that?
all right. Well, I'm confident the stage will be in good hands with Tom in control of the microphone.
It's interesting, in the 1989 legislative session, the House and Senate did pass the nation's first background check waiting period, 5-day waiting period. And just a couple of years later, when President Reagan had been shot and Mr. Brady was so badly wounded, it took Congress, I don't know how long it was, 10, 12 years to do a much less restrictive one. But anyway, so good morning, everyone. I recognize a lot of familiar faces, and it's good to see you, and I had a chance to visit with several of you before the meeting. And especially good morning to Governor Kate Brown. I know that everyone appreciates your participation this morning. And she's right, we did serve together. I was a Democrat for the first 2 terms and then changed and was a Republican for the next 3 terms. And the mystery is how much I've aged and she doesn't appear to have. And so I understand, Governor, this is, I think, at least your fourth visit to Washington County in just 16 months. We appreciate your efforts to get to know and understand our community even better. I know it's an election cycle, but I hope you accept our invitation to visit Washington County every 4 months or so in the future. The WEA has asked me to reflect upon this morning's discussion and perhaps convey very briefly our key interests and need for assistance from the governor's office and the state legislature. My comments do not and are not intended to represent all members of the WEA nor the views of individuals in this audience this morning. They're sort of my reflection of what I understand WEA objectives to be and so forth. I'll start with economic development. As you know, Governor, Washington County has been referred to as the economic engine of Oregon. Whether we are or not, we certainly enjoy a thriving and exciting business community and a quality of life that attracts about 10,000 new residents a year. Our success is built on collaboration of businesses, nonprofit agencies, education, and government, working for quality jobs and quality neighborhoods. Our opportunities are built within a framework of carefully considered policies that achieve the balance between quality and meeting the challenges of rapid growth. Tools such as the Strategic Improvement Program, the SIP, and the carefully designed and revised Gain Share Program help encourage job growth and help pay for the cost of the increasing population. Reasonable and strategic land use laws help us immensely to do long-term planning for infrastructure, schools, parks, and other community needs. We ask that you seek to include us in important conversations of economic development and land use policies. We want to help, and we want to work collaboratively with you and your office, the legislature, and all state agencies to achieve success for all residents and businesses. In education, I'm sure there's very little disagreement in this room in support for the best education system we can develop. Our young people need to be prepared for the workforce, and we need to provide recognized quality education to sustain job growth and attract and retain quality businesses that we want in Oregon. Clearly, we have an increasing need for strong science and technology education, as well as research programs at our universities. Governor, you have a strong track record of support for all levels of education in your career. We thank you for that, and I know your work will continue for education, and we hope you will consider our business and communities to be your partner in that effort. Transportation, I see no problems there. Well, Governor, thank you for braving the traffic on Highway 217 this morning to be with us. It is startling to know that the 7 miles of Highway 217 carries almost identically as much traffic on a given day as do the 3 lanes of Interstate 5 at its crossing of the Columbia. The Department of Motor Vehicles tells us that about 44 additional cars and trucks are registered in Washington County every day. That's about 16,000 additional vehicles per year. Despite our local efforts, such as the voter-approved Major Streets Transportation Improvement Program, MSTIP, which has generated about $600 million over the last 2 decades for road improvements, and our assertive efforts at light rail, commuter rail, and bike ped facilities, we need help. And as you know, most jurisdictions around the state need help. We thank you again for your leadership in the transportation funding conversations. We know they are difficult, and we look forward to working with you closely as options are finalized and a legislative package is put together. The Transportation Visioning Panel said we need to be ambitious in the pursuit of funding for transportation needs. While the legislature in the last 10 years has made what I would call tweaks to registration and titling fees, these revenues do not begin to meet the real and increasing needs of our multimodal transportation system. We look forward to the recommendations coming out this September and would like to work closely with you and your office in what we hope is an ambitious and innovative set of actions for transportation funding. Finally, Governor, I would be remiss if I did not comment on taxes and the initiative petition 28. I will not attempt to enumerate the features of IP 28 or repeat the findings of various groups and public agencies that have reviewed and commented on the impacts of IP 28 if it is approved by voters in November. There is a clear point of view that I have heard over and over, that it's a feeling that people have, knowledge varies, support levels vary, but the view is that while well-intended, there has been a number of actions by the legislature that are viewed as increasing the tax burden and cost of living on Oregonians. Examples include the increase in the minimum wage, paid sick leave, carbon tax, and discussions of mandatory predictive scheduling. Local efforts, too, contribute to the picture. For example, the change of heart by Portland about new facilities at the Port of Portland, and recently a local vote banning the water bottling plant. It's just a combination of things. It seems like there's just a lot of increased burden on the business community, small and large, and now a huge increase proposed through IP 28. The state of Oregon is already over-reliant on a volatile income tax as its primary source for funding of the needed services. IP 28 only makes Oregon more reliant and more exposed to the volatility of income tax, the one-legged stool, as it's often called. As you most likely know, WEA has joined the Oregon Business Association, Greater Portland, Inc., the Portland Business Alliance, Economic Development for Central Oregon, the Southern Oregon Regional Economic Development, and many other groups in opposing IP28. Whether local or statewide, tax policy by petition has rarely served the public well. Tax reform is best achieved by a task force of representative and qualified individuals working with technical experts to design an equitable and sufficient tax system. Washington County has had as its trademark the ability of businesses, governments, nonprofit groups, and education to effectively collaborate and work together successfully on tough issues. We believe the same can be done and must be attempted at the state level. Governor, we respectfully urge you to stand with the businesses and our community leaders in opposition to IP28. Instead, consider convening a committee or task force to take a thorough, well-informed, and courageous look at our state and local tax systems for reforms and improvements. Again, thank you very much, Governor Brown, for joining us this morning. It's great to see you again, and for patiently listening to my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate your comments, and I appreciate the time that you took with your experience to provide perspective. It was well done and appreciated. I do want to thank Governor Brown again for being here. We hope to see you in the future. This has been a great experience for all of us, and we respect your leadership, and we wish you the very best. So again, thank you.